Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Film Valor. Adam and I just wanted to come on today to talk about a very interesting topic, which is one that we believe filmmakers don't often talk about. We're going to get right into it. And it's about the research phase of a project. And this really comes down to how do you decide what your ideas are going to be that you make films based on. But probably more appropriately, how are you going to execute them? And we think the key to that is research, and that's really the key also then to screenwriting and development. And what we're going to start by talking about is, I'm going to turn it over to Adam now, and we'll go back and forth. How do you think we have successfully developed concepts in the past, and how do we do research and everything that implies?
I think one of the most important things drawing research is drawing influence. I think that's something.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, elaborate on that.
I think, when I was a kid, I've seen lots of movies. I love music. Sometimes you draw things from like politics or whatever, but we try not to do the political thing.
That's a good point, though.
I mean, we take it from the stories that we like. In things that maybe some things that we just we never knew of. I know, especially with our new film No Fear.
Yeah.
We drew a lot of inspiration and did a lot of research into everything from ancient civilizations to
I think it really runs the whole gamut.
Music to movies to people. It was pretty much anything we could take or anything that just gravitated towards us. And so it's just being open to find anything that is going to be an inspiration.
Yeah, that you can latch onto. What's funny about No Fear, without getting into too many specifics, because then this becomes helpful to the average or to the the person watching, to whatever they're doing. We started No Fear. Let's just say a mutual friend of ours basically said, here's a book on religions, and this was like ancient, Middle Eastern religion.
Yeah, about ancient, yeah.
And that actually became the basis for the concept in No Fear. Weird. We opened to a random page and said, well, that's scary, and that wound up being the basis for No Fear in a lot of ways. But what's good about the process that we like to go on, and this might be an obsessiveness with making films, making them the way that we want to and everything like that, I've definitely always found, and now Adams also has his own great sources he pulls from, but that you really do best by saying relentlessly, how can you make the best script you can? How can you develop the best script you can? And that is inevitably leads you to, like he said, influence, ideas, literature in a lot of ways. Books are a great place to get systems of information from. I mean, it would not be uncommon to see us reading several books on a topic just to get a basis of something. When we went to read, we read all of Lovecraft for No Fear is a perfect example. Something that he knew. One of the good things about Adam, and was especially in the horror realm, was he knew the places to look. You don't have to know everything. But part of what makes research so great is knowing where to look.
And where to start, yeah.
And where to start, right? And when to build on things and what to draw from. So I would argue it becomes a process of synthesis. You're taking from so many different sources, in some cases stealing things that you just love, but also looking at why you love it is very, very, very important. I mean, you can't just take a shot that's cool. You have to understand the psychology of why the shot works.
Yeah, because also I think you have to put yourself in the audience perspective. Is why am I captivated by this aspect of this story or this art or this song or whatever it is, and you gotta really see the whole movie play out with that in mind.
Yes.
Okay, this I know at this particular moment it's gonna really be get that point across. It's gonna be punchy. It's gonna be scary. It's going to be, something heartbreaking or whatever it is. But, just taking those little puzzle pieces and putting it into another puzzle that fits around that. So it's like an always moving puzzle, really.
And I would also say what's nice about that puzzle is at first it can be very confusing. If you, especially if you don't have an idea, I guess it would be really the thing. You can be looking at different places, but you start to realize as you develop a lot of ideas or you develop a lot of concepts that limiting limiting your pool of ideas is actually one of the best ways of having freedom, which is a very foreign concept to someone who's first starting to make a movie. But here's what I mean by that. If you say, we're going to look at the movie, let's just say Alien, and one other film, which is, it could be even something silly, like Ghostbusters, it's a great movie. But when you say that those are two things, as crazy as that might seem, that actually puts you in a very definitive direction. That becomes the basis of your research. And those limitations actually free you. Or you can do the same thing by just saying, we're just going to look at this book and this movie, and this will be where we draw the most inspiration from. So when you're getting into that research phase, a very helpful thing to do is to try to set up only a few at first. Over the course of time, I think you're able to build on them and be like, okay, we take some from this, some from that. But that becomes basically what we'd say is the foundation, right?
Yeah.
And we definitely have good examples of doing that.
And sometimes the concepts don't work,
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing because, as Jameson said, pick two or, and just really focus on that. It's also really hard to get yourself out of that rut if it doesn't work. So, it's, it's always kind of, being focused, but being, able to say, all right, this is not something that that's going to work in this, project. So you don't want to, you want to tie yourself down a little bit. You want to be grounded, but you don't want to, have your head in the ground where, and not being able to get out of it.
Yeah, it's that perfect balance, or not even, maybe imperfect balance, we could say, of knowing where to keep, knowing that you need to learn more, but not overexposing what is there.
Right.
You have to build on the thing carefully, one step at a time. But I would say that you almost definitively know when something is right. Something feels right. And if you're working with people, who, and you have an honest relationship with them, you can really say, that doesn't feel right. And that becomes a conversation then. Why does it not feel right is almost as important as why it does. Another good example is when we were doing the movie Sunset, we actually looked at a movie called On the Beach. That was one of the main primary things that we pulled from. And that actually became a very good structure to look at.
Yeah.
That was the basis. We also started to research nuclear concepts just to not sound like we didn't know what we were doing, which is important. You don't have to know everything about a topic. This brings us to another level of research. You certainly don't have to know everything about a topic, but you need to know enough to tell the story that you're trying to tell. Right. And that's important, and I think you can also feel when you have enough. You don't have to go overboard with it.
No, yeah. It's not. This isn't like a college course or
high
school. You don't have to have a stack of papers explaining your conclusion or why you did something. But you hit it on the head. You have to really, in order to lay it all out, and to get the point across is the most important thing. I mean, there are some movies out there that that do very minimal.
Yeah,
it. And it's very effective.
Extremely.
Because
Halloween's a great example of that.
And that's the thing with like horror and sci-fi, especially, is that though doing the minimal amount, it creates a new body almost. It creates a new entity within it because it's not just the killer or the ghost or whatever. It gets you thinking of, what is this place? What world am I in?
Yeah.
Or what are the rules? What are the boundaries? And
exactly.
And so being able to do that, getting your audience to have a lot of questions, is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, and I think about this a lot, but I think a film to try to bring it all together. I think a film is almost like an argument. And without going over the top, because that's really not the objective of an argument, you can support your theory by, bringing together information or data or sources. And that helps strengthen the argument. It strengthens where you are. And it helps you make a statement that actually is basically true. Even if it's just true in one sector or only certain people want to hear it. It can be almost overwhelmingly true if it's done the right way. So that's all we can hope to be as storytellers, is to try to tell the greatest, or basically the greatest story that we can, using all the information that's available to us, but most importantly, drawing from the things that we love and we care about most.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so that is our episode on research, and if you're basically struggling with the concept or you're trying to piece things together, that's okay, and realize that's just part of the process and that you have to just go out and seek more knowledge. You have to read something, or maybe even ask some people questions and try to look for, don't forget that as filmmakers, we're also explorers. We're trying to explore things. You don't have to go to another country. You might just have to go to Amazon and buy a book that you need. So don't be afraid of that. You have to look into oblivion and sometimes also say that it doesn't work, okay? So it's knowing that and also knowing when to have faith and to push ahead. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Film Valor.
Take care.